Hello my friends, what's up? Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Elise. I'm glad that you decided to stop in. If you're not new, welcome back. It's always great to see you. Today we are doing kind of a niche video, but you know what? I'm just going for it because I absolutely love this series. I feel like I talk about it all the time. I love it and I don't want to stop talking about it. So today, my completely unhinged video idea is to rank all of the Ice Planet Barbarian couples. Yes, I've read all of the books in the series. There may be a few short stories that I haven't read yet. I know Ruby Dixon is also coming out with more short stories kind of added as epilogues as she is re-releasing the Ice Planet Barbarian series. So I haven't read all of those, but I've read all of the main stories, so we are going to be focusing on those today. Also, aside from Aravan and Claire, we are only focusing on the couples that have a main book. I'm not focusing on some of the other Sakui couples that may have, you know, popped up in short stories. I just don't have the memory or the time for that today. So we're just gonna focus on the main couples who had their own books, as well as one couple from one short story. So let's just get on into it. I'm going to try my best to do these in order, but it's gonna be interesting. So let's look at the tiers that I have created. Y'all, I'm not that creative, I get it, but this is the best I could come up with. First, we have forever faves. That means I love the book, I love the couple, these are just the top tier books of the series in my personal opinion. Then we have love them together. Maybe this story wasn't my all-time favorite, but I love these couples. I love these two together as a couple. Then we have sweet and salty. I decided to choose this because maybe I liked one person of the couple better than I liked the other. I didn't necessarily love them together. I just love them separately. Then we have story over couple. This is where I loved the story and what that story had to say more than I necessarily enjoyed the couples together. Then we have, there they are. It wasn't my favorite story, it wasn't my favorite couple, but I'm not mad that I read those stories. They still made this series this series. So let's get started. Let's start with our tried and true. That is Ice Planet Barbarians with our couple Georgie and Bechtel. These are the ones who started it all, so they are my forever favorite. Let's say that this story started off with a bang. Ruby Dixon really went all in with this first story, the first level of smut that we experienced. She said bang bang shebang, like she went for it, and I'm not mad about it, and I loved how it ended with them, you know, having more communication and just setting the tone for the rest of the series. They're like my favorite couples ever. Next we have Liz and Rahash with Barbarian Alien. Originally I was gonna put this in the forever favorites category, but I re-listened to the story recently and Liz kind of annoyed me. But I still love them together. I think that they go together really well. There is some fun banter, there's some steam. Okay, the next one we have is Barbarian Lover, and originally I had put them in the salty and sweet because I love Ihako. He is one of my top book boyfriends, period. I just love him. I re-listened to this book recently and I support Kira. Originally I had seen her as whiny, but rereading it, I felt like she was insecure at times, but she still stepped out of her comfort zone and attacked those fears and did what she thought she needed to do to help others. And I really appreciated that. So we're moving them up a little bit. We're gonna move them up to love them together. I love Ihako so much. Okay, I just realized that I was missing a few. There were a few duplicates. I was missing a few others. I found them, I added them. Okay, now we're up to date. The next couple is Tiffany and Saluk from Barbarian's Prize. Now, I ended up deciding to do the story over the couple. I felt like I enjoyed the atmosphere of the book and how they did kind of like the competition. I really enjoyed the action of the competition, but them as a couple, it felt a little bit rushed in this story. However, as the series goes on, I did really enjoy seeing Tiffany and Saluk together, but I still agree with, you know, putting them as loving the story more than the couple. I forgot Barbarian Mine. Now, Barbarian Mine is actually the 4th one, and that is Harlow and Rook. They are one of my forever favorites. I just love how the two came to know each other because Rook doesn't know language, period. He grew up alone on his own for a really long time and then found Harlow, and then the two resonated, the two came together, and they learned about each other in a very base way. Learning language together and things like that, and building a home together kind of outside of the tribe. And I love that so much. I love them and his protectiveness of her and his willingness to like learn and grow, and her willingness to teach him. I really liked Harlow as a character as well. So they're just one of my favorites. Next we have Barbarian's Mate, which is Josie and Hayden, and I love them together. Very grumpy sunshine. Josie is just... Next we have Barbarians, which is Josie and Hayden, and I love them together. Very grumpy sunshine. Josie is just a talker. Hayden has some things in his past that have happened that make him kind of quiet and grumpy and, you know, inside of his shell, and Josie really brings him out of that and shows him, you know, what it's like to love again, and she loves him fiercely, and they bicker like an old married couple, and I love that. Then we have Barbarian's Touch. Lila and Roken are just some of my favorites. This happens later in the story, and there's like another ship discovered with more women, and Lila comes from that, and she is deaf, and so she uses sign language, and Roken's just willingness to meet her where she is really made my heart so happy, because a lot of the others were kind of confused about her sign language and things like that. Not many of them were willing to go and learn the sign language so that they could communicate with Lila. Her sister does a lot of translating for her, but Roken was like, I like her, I want to learn this for her, and he did, and it was just so sweet. I love Lila and Roken. Then we have Barbarian's Taming, which is Maddie and Hassan. Their story wasn't my absolute favorite, however I loved the end of the story. It just adds a whole element to the rest of the series, which I don't want to spoil, but I absolutely love them together. They are just wild and crazy. Their banter was so fun. And they're just so flirty and goofy with each other. I love them together. It's gonna get a little hazy in here about the order. I think the next one I kind of missed was Ice Planet Holiday, which is the one short story I was telling you about. This one is Claire and Erevan, and while the short story itself was kind of fun, they're just kind of there for me. I'm really hoping that Ruby Dixon considers writing a full story for them. I would be willing to read that, but for now, there they are. And I think next is Barbarian Hope. This one is Asha and Himalo. They are actually a Sakwi couple, or a barbarian couple. We see a lot of Asha. She is kind of a flirt, trying to get the young single males to have a bit of fun with her, but they're very focused on finding their mates, and Asha has actually resonated and has her own mate, but they don't see eye to eye. Something happened and they are not great together. So this is one of those books where I really love the story over the couple, because most of the story was them healing. So we didn't really get to see them much as a couple, but I did really appreciate this story and the healing that both of them went through. I really enjoyed that. Okay, next is Barbarian's Choice, and this is Farley. So for the first part of this series, Farley is really young, and so this series goes over several years, and Farley finally grows old enough. She resonates with Marduk, who's kind of an off-world visitor. I loved seeing kind of the outside perspective of Marduk, because he comes from a much more technologically advanced planet. It was really funny hearing the things from his planet and being like, yeah, that's kind of true, because he's kind of like, whoa, y'all are so friendly and touchy and like germs. His planet doesn't allow people to like touch each other unless they have clearance and stuff like that. So it was really cool like hearing about that, and it was so different on the Ice Planet, and I just loved both of them, and then I loved both of them together. So they're my favorites. Okay, next. Maybe Barbarian's Heart. This is Stacy and Pashov. This story I think was one of the longest of the Ice Planet Barbarian series, and it just dragged for me. There was an incident and Pashov loses his memory and he cannot remember Stacy. He can't remember their child together. And Stacy's just bereft this whole time because she misses her husband. There was an incident on the planet where they're all like migrating. So she's going through this great big change with a man who doesn't remember her. And she obviously remembers him. Their child is very confused and she's just heartbroken. And I get what they were trying to do, but it just didn't do it for me. I will say it was a happily ever after at the end, so I appreciate that, but the majority of the story just wasn't my favorite. Let's see, maybe next is Barbarian's Redemption. I'm gonna put them in story over couple. Beck had some moments in the past books of the series where he's not the greatest dude. Like, I get where he's coming from, but very morally gray. He starts this book with Ellie, and I have to say I loved his character growth and Ellie's character growth. They are really good together. I kind of thought about putting them together. I just love their character growth and what came with that. So I really appreciated that. I think the next of this series was Summer and Warwick with Barbarian's Rescue. I loved them together. I also loved this story. It was kind of hard to figure out where to put this, but no, I loved them together. Summer is like really chatty, high energy. She's very self-conscious because she talks so much. She tries really hard to like filter herself and slow herself down, and because of that it makes her anxious and that she talks even more. And Warwick just met her where she was. He was like, it's okay, Summer, it's fine. And so they go on this like adventure and end up saving a group of the other couples, and it was just a fun time. But yeah, I love them together. Then we have Barbarian's Tease. Now I will say I didn't love the beginning of the story, but I love how it progressed and ended, and I ended up really loving Brooke and Toshan together. And like all throughout the series we see Toshan like really wanting to find a mate and like very eagerly pursuing other women, and it just doesn't work out. But he's such a good guy. He's always like, I wish you the best, and just keeps trying. And so when he and Brooke finally get together, I was just so happy for Toshan. Let's do Barbarian Beloved next, and that is Ariana and Zaloya. They're one of our original couples who resonated at the beginning of the series, but we just know that they resonated. They didn't get a story at the beginning. So Ruby Dixon went back and kind of did like a flashback story where they're in like the future, but they look back on the past on how they got together. I put them here because I love Zaloya. I love him so much. He's so kind and patient. Ariana's just a hot mess, and I can't blame her, but I love Zaloya. Then we have Barbarian Seduction, and I also put them in Sweet and Salty because I loved Marlene. Marlene is like, she's confident, she knows what she wants, and she wanted Zinnik and she went after him. And Zinnik's very shy. He's a shy boy. You know, she just showed him like, yes, I want you, yes, you're worth it. And like, you know, finally he came to and they resonated and stuff. Next we have Barbarian's Lady. This is Kate and Herrick. Their story was all over the place. I didn't really care for either of them. I'm gonna leave it at that. Then we have Barbarian's Treasure. This was Megan and Kashol, and this story, I enjoyed them more as characters in the previous books than in their own story. It just felt like a silly story that didn't need to be there. And last, I feel bad ending on this note, but we have Barbarian's Bride. This is Nora and Dagesh. They are also one of our main couples doing the kind of flashback thing. And their spicy scenes, their smutty scenes felt so forced and weird to me. I felt the same as Barbarian Treasure, where I enjoyed them more as side characters in other books than in their own book. And I was kind of sad to end on that note for the Ice Planet Barbarian series, because I believe this is the last book of the series. But you know what? That's okay, because obviously I enjoyed so many more of these books by themselves, period. We have my forever favorites with Georgie and Bechdel, Harlow and Rook, Lila and Roken, and Farley and Marduk. And then we just have these couples that I really love together. I don't know, I'm kind of waffling on this. We're just gonna leave it as it is. We have Liz and Rahash, Kira and Ihako, Maddie and Hassan, Josie and Hayden, Summer and Warwick, and Brooke and Taoshen. Then we have the stories where I really liked one character more than the other. Ariana and Zaloya, I love Zaloya. And then we have Marlene and Zen. Again, I loved Marlene. Then we have where I just love the story a little bit more than the couple with Tiffany and Saluk, Himalo and Asha, as well as Beck Ellie. And then we just have some couples that were there. I'm not mad I read the book. We have Claire and Erevan, which I would be interested in their own story if they have it. Stacy and Pashov, Kate and Harek, Megan and Kashol, and Nora and Nagesh. Alright my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video with me. If you have any opinions on these couples, I would love to know your thoughts down below. And if you haven't read the Ice Planet Barbarian series, here's your call to do so. I love it so much. It makes me so happy. I'm so glad I picked it up. With that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying BOOKMAS, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.